Layla was only 14 years old. She was smart, quiet, and always followed the rules. Every day, she walked home from school with her backpack on and her headphones in. She loved listening to music while walking through the neighborhood. It helped her forget the noise of the world. That day, the sky was clear. The sun was warm. Nothing felt wrong until she heard the sound of tires. A police car slowed down beside her. 2 white officers sat inside, staring hard at her. Layla paused. She took off her headphones. "Hey, you," one officer called out through the open window. Layla turned, confused. "Yes, sir." "Come here," the officer said, getting out of the car. The second officer followed. Layla looked around. She was the only one on the street. Her heart started to beat faster. Is something wrong? "Where are you going?" the second officer asked. "I'm going home. I live 3 blocks from here." "Let me see your ID." "I don't have one," Layla replied softly. "I'm just in 8th grade." The officers looked at each other, smirking. The first one walked closer. "Backpack. Open it." Layla hesitated. "Why?" "Because I said so." She slowly took off her backpack and handed it to him. He opened it and looked through her books, pencil case, and lunchbox. The second officer looked her up and down like she was a criminal. "There's nothing here," the first officer said, annoyed. "I told you," Layla whispered. "You talk back now." He snapped, hands on the car. "What? Why?" Layla's voice was shaky. "Stop asking questions. We got a call about a suspicious person in this area." "I didn't do anything," she said, tears forming in her eyes. "Yeah, that's what they all say," the second cop laughed. As they pulled her hands behind her back, Layla cried out, "My dad's coming. Please, stop." The first officer rolled his eyes. "And who's your daddy, huh?" "A janitor. Some security guard." "No," Layla said, shaking. He's not like that. Just wait, please." They didn't listen. One of them pulled out plastic cuffs. The other radioed for backup. Just then, down the street, a black SUV turned the corner. It moved slowly, too slowly, like it didn't want to be seen. The windows were dark. It stopped at the edge of the sidewalk, across from where they held Layla. Layla saw it. Her face changed. The fear melted. She smiled just a little. The officers didn't notice. The driver's door opened. Out stepped a tall man, dressed in black, wearing sunglasses. His face was calm, but too calm. His walk was silent, strong, like he'd done this before. He walked toward the officers. "Let her go," he said in a flat voice. The first officer turned. "Excuse me, sir. This is a police investigation. Step back." The man didn't move. "That's my daughter." "Oh, really?" the second cop said, smirking. "Then you should teach her not to mouth off." The man's jaw didn't move, but his tone became colder. "I'll say it once. Let her go." The officers looked at each other, then laughed. The first one stepped toward him. "Sir, I'm going to need you to back up or I will." In a blink, the officer's hand was empty. His baton was gone. It now rested in the stranger's hand. The officer's eyes went wide. Before he could react, the man twisted the baton in one smooth move and dropped it at the cop's feet. "I asked nicely." The second officer reached for his gun, but his holster was empty. The man was holding it now, one hand on the trigger, calm as ice. "You should really lock this better," he said, placing the gun on the hood of the police car. Layla stood still, shocked. The 2 officers froze. They didn't speak. They didn't move. They knew something was very wrong. This was no ordinary man. He looked at Layla. "Are you okay?" She nodded, still shaking. He walked to her and gently took off the plastic cuffs. Then he turned back to the cops. "This is your last mistake," he said. Then he pulled out a phone. No numbers, just one button. He pressed it. No words, just a pause. Then he said, "Echo, level 0. Confirm." The line went dead. The officers stood silent. Who was this man? Layla looked at them, then at her dad. Her fear was gone now. She whispered, "They don't know who you are, do they?" He didn't smile. He just said, "They will." And then, from far away, a low sound began to rise. A sound like helicopters in the distance. The two officers stood still. They didn't know what to do. One of them had just lost his gun. The other had his baton taken in less than 2 seconds. And now, a stranger in black stood between them and a teenage girl. Layla's heart was still beating fast, but now, not from fear. She looked at the man beside her, tall, calm, and cold like steel. He was her dad. But to the police, he was a problem, one they didn't understand. "Sir," the first cop said, trying to sound brave, "we're giving you one last warning." The man looked straight into his eyes. "You already had yours." He turned to Layla. "Get in the car." She nodded and walked toward the black SUV slowly, her legs shaking. She opened the back door and sat down. The door closed behind her. Now it was just the man and the cops. The second officer raised his voice. "You assaulted an officer. That's a crime." The man spoke softly. "So is harassing a child on her way home." "We got a call," the cop shouted. "No, you didn't," he said coldly. "I checked your radios. No such report came in. You saw a young black girl walking and decided to play hero." They stared at him. He continued, "You didn't think anyone would stop you. You didn't think anyone would care. You thought she was alone." He stepped closer. His voice dropped even lower. "But she's never alone. Not when I'm breathing." The two officers backed up slightly. The older cop finally asked, "Who the hell are you?" The man gave a small smile, one that didn't reach his eyes. Then, from down the block, came the low, powerful sound of helicopters. 2 black choppers appeared above the trees. No police markings, no news logos, just silent, fast machines, coming in low. The officers looked up, confused and scared. "What though? What's going on?" "Those are for me," the man said, "and for the mistake you made today." Suddenly, black SUVs started pulling into the street from both ends, all with tinted windows, silent, organized, dangerous. The street filled with tension. Doors opened. Men in black suits stepped out, wearing earpieces and gloves. They didn't shout. They didn't run. They simply walked forward, like this was routine. One of them handed a folder to the taller officer. "You are no longer in control here," the agent said. "Who are you people?" the cop stammered. The agent spoke calmly. "CIA Internal Security. We've come to clean up a situation." The officer turned to Layla's dad. "He's CIA." The agent looked back at him with cold eyes. "He's not just CIA. He was the CIA's most dangerous ghost, a man we send when no one else comes back." The second cop swallowed hard. The agent walked over to Mr. Carter and nodded respectfully. "Echo level 0 confirmed. Sir, your daughter is safe. We'll take it from here." Mr. Carter didn't respond. He walked to the police car and opened the door again. Then, calmly, he reached into the front seat, picked up his own phone from where the officers had dropped it earlier, and turned back to the SUV. He opened the back door. Layla was sitting still, hugging her backpack. "It's over," he said gently. Layla's eyes were full of questions. "Daddy, what are they going to do to the cops?" He looked into her eyes. "Whatever the law allows. But will they be okay?" Mr. Carter paused. Then he said something that surprised even her. "They'll live, but they'll remember this day for the rest of their lives." Layla stayed quiet. She looked at the men in suits, at the helicopters, at the police who now looked small and scared. "Why did you hide this part of you?" she asked. He closed the door, walked around, and got in beside her. "Because I never wanted you to grow up with fear," he said. "I wanted you to see peace, not war." "But I'm not afraid anymore," she said quietly. He looked at her with pride. "Good." Outside, one of the CIA agents handed a paper to the local police captain who had just arrived, confused and out of breath. "This department is now under internal review," the agent said, "effective immediately." "But why?" the captain asked. The agent pointed to the officers. "Ask them." Back inside the SUV, Mr. Carter started the engine. The sound of the choppers was fading now. The street was calm again. But something had changed forever. As they drove off, Layla asked a question she had always been afraid to ask. "Dad, are you dangerous?" He didn't answer right away. Then he said, "Only when I have to be." She smiled softly. For the first time in her life, she felt protected in a way no one could explain. The world had seen her as small, weak, alone. But they didn't know her father. And now they would never forget him. The black SUV pulled into a hidden entrance deep in the city. It passed through a gate that didn't exist on any public map. Armed guards stood like statues, watching every move. Cameras followed every angle. Layla looked out the window, her eyes wide. "Where are we?" she asked. Her father, Mr. Carter, looked ahead. "Somewhere safe." The vehicle stopped inside an underground garage. As the doors opened, men and women in suits stood silently, waiting. Layla stepped out and stayed close to her father. The air felt cold, serious. Every person around her looked like they had seen things no one else would understand. A woman in a dark gray suit stepped forward. "Welcome back, Agent Carter. She's ready upstairs." Mr. Carter nodded. "Thank you, Director Hall." Layla looked at the woman. Her face was calm, but her eyes were sharp. Director Hall bent down slightly and gave Layla a warm smile. "You must be Layla. We've heard a lot about you." Layla blinked. "You know me?" "Oh yes," Hall said softly. "You're the reason he ever came back." Layla didn't understand. She just followed her dad as they stepped into a private elevator. As the doors closed, she whispered, "Dad, what is this place?" He looked at her. "This was my second life, before I had you." The elevator moved fast, stopping at the top level. When the doors opened, it wasn't a normal office. The room looked more like a command center. Walls full of monitors, maps, live video feeds, red lights blinking softly, people moving with purpose. Layla looked around, amazed. She whispered, "Is this the CIA?" Her dad nodded slowly. "The part most people don't know about." Director Hall led them into a glass room with 2 chairs. "You should sit. He needs to be briefed." Layla sat down, clutching her backpack. Mr. Carter sat beside her, still calm, still quiet. Hall placed a black file in front of him. "We told you this would happen." "I know," he said. "You've been off the grid for 4 years," she continued. "But they still fear you, the ones on the other side, when they heard you came out of retirement today." Mr. Carter opened the file. Inside were photographs, not just of the officers who harassed Layla, but of others. A long list. Men in suits, women in uniforms, faces in dark rooms, foreign agents, enemies. "They're watching her now," Hall said seriously. "They saw her face. Your daughter is no longer just a student. She's your blood. That makes her a target." Layla looked up. "What?" Mr. Carter closed the file. "I'll handle it," he said. Hall sighed. "You can't do it alone. Not this time. We need you back." Layla stood up. "Back? What does that mean?" Her father looked at her. "It means I have to go away for a while, to keep you safe." Layla shook her head. "No. They were the ones who messed up." "Why do you have to leave?" "Because danger doesn't knock," he said gently. "It waits." Director Hall stepped forward. "We'll keep her here, protected. No one gets in or out without our word. Mr. Carter took a deep breath. His hands rested on the table. Then he slowly stood. I need one thing, he said to Hall. Anything. My own team. No interference. I do this my way. She nodded. Done. Layla's heart sank. You're leaving again. He walked over and knelt in front of her. Do you know what keeps me going, Layla? She shook her head, tears starting. You, he said, every mission. Every time I thought I wouldn't make it home, I saw your face. That's why I came back alive. But I don't want to be the reason you leave again. You won't be, he said. You'll be the reason I finish this, for good. He hugged her tightly. She held on, not wanting to let go. I'll be back, he said, stronger than ever. As he stood and walked out of the room with Director Hall, Layla sat there alone, wiping her eyes. But something had changed inside her. She wasn't just a scared girl anymore. She had seen the truth. She had seen power. And now, she was a part of it. Meanwhile, in a dark room on the other side of the world, a phone buzzed. A man with no name answered it. He moved, said the voice on the line. The ghost is active. The man smiled. Good, he said. Then the game begins again. He turned to a screen showing Mr. Carter's photo. And beside it, Layla's. The air smelled different out here. It was colder, rougher. Mr. Carter stood alone in the middle of the desert. Just dirt, sky, and silence all around. But he wasn't here to rest. He was here to prepare. Behind him, a hidden facility opened. A steel door hissed as it unlocked, and a tall man walked out. Didn't think I'd see you again, the man said. Carter didn't turn around. I need the team. The man laughed once. They're ghosts now, just like you. Most of them disappeared after you left. I want them found. The man raised an eyebrow. After 4 years. What for? Carter finally turned. His face was harder now, colder. They came after my daughter. The man's smile vanished. I'll make the calls, he said. But there's a price. I'm already paying it, Carter said. 3 days later, the team started arriving, one by one. They came in silence, dressed in black. No names, no handshakes, just nods of respect. There was Ash, the silent sniper who could hit a coin from half a mile away. Reese, the tech expert who once broke into 5 world governments in one night. Nova, the combat specialist with scars and secrets. And Hawk, the pilot who could land a chopper on a rooftop during a hurricane. And had. They gathered in a dim war room beneath the earth. Old screens flickered, maps glowed on the wall. Red targets marked faces and names. Carter stood in front of them. They made it personal, he said. They made a mistake. He pressed a button. A photo appeared. It was the man from the shadows, the one watching from the other side of the world. His name, Victor Draws. Once a Russian asset, now something darker, something off the books. He's building something, Carter said, using stolen tech, using our old contacts. And now, he's trying to get to me. Through Layla. Reese leaned back. I thought you erased him in Morocco. I did, Carter said. Or so I thought. Nova crossed her arms. So what's the plan? Carter looked at the screen. We find him. We shut it down. No more games. Back at CIA headquarters, Layla sat in a quiet room. She had a book in her hand, but her mind was far away. A woman entered the room. It was Director Hall. Mind if I sit? Layla shrugged. Hall sat beside her. Your dad's the best we ever had. You know that. Layla looked up slowly. I didn't. Not until now. Hall nodded. He never wanted you to grow up around this world. But now I'm part of it, Layla said quietly. I didn't ask for it, but here I am. There was a long pause. Then Hall said something surprising. Maybe, one day, you could work with us too. Layla blinked. Me. You see things others don't. You stayed calm. Brave. That's rare. Layla gave a small, sad smile. I was just scared. Hall smiled back. Sometimes bravery is being scared and standing anyway. Meanwhile, somewhere near the coast of Europe, Carter's team moved in silence. They had found Draz's trail, hidden through black market deals and stolen weapon shipments. The plan was simple: find his location, get proof, cut the head off the snake. But nothing is simple when the enemy knows you're coming. The night mission started like any other. Hawk dropped them near an old port. Reese disabled the cameras. Ash took position on the rooftops. Carter and Nova moved in. They found crates marked with military codes, but they were fake. Empty. Nova frowned. Trap. Carter nodded once, and then everything exploded. The warehouse lit up with fire. Bullets flew from the shadows. They were surrounded. Carter dove behind cover. Team's been burned. 50 seconds to extraction. Hawk shouted in their earpieces. Ash fired from above, taking down 2 shooters. Reese shouted over the comms. They cloned my signal. They knew we were coming. Carter stayed calm. Get out, everyone. Now. But Nova started. That's an order. The team fought their way out, barely escaping with their lives. The chopper lifted them into the sky, just as flames swallowed the dock. From the flames, a figure stood still, watching. It was Victor Draz. He smiled. This is only the beginning, he whispered. Back in the air, Nova sat beside Carter, wiping blood from her arm. You okay? He nodded, just pissed off. Reese looked up from his laptop. He's ahead of us. Again. Carter stared out the window, jaw tight. Not for long. That night, Carter sat alone in a dark room. He pulled out a photo of Layla from his jacket. Her smile, her eyes, her peace. He pressed the photo to his forehead and made a promise in the dark. No matter what it takes, I'll end this. But in the shadows, Draz was already planning the next move. This time, he wouldn't go after Carter directly. This time, he would find the girl and break the man from the inside out. The halls of CIA headquarters felt colder now. Layla sat in the training room, eyes on a screen, learning self-defense. Hall had assigned her a quiet agent to guide her, Agent Mira, tall and calm, with eyes like steel. Again, Mira said. Layla threw a punch. Too soft, again. She tried again, harder. You're still thinking like a student, Mira said. I am a student, Layla muttered. Mira stepped forward. Not anymore. Layla looked down. She hated that. She hated all of it. She hated being here, locked away in a place full of secrets. She missed school, friends, a normal life. But more than that, she missed her dad. Thousands of miles away, Carter stared at a map glowing red. Reese pointed to 3 blinking dots. These are Victor Draz's recent locations. He's moving fast, changing signals every few hours. Trying to hide, Ash said. No, Carter said. He wants to be found. Nova raised an eyebrow. Why would he want that? Carter looked at her. Because he's setting a trap. Reese turned. Then why are we going? Because I set one first. That night, in a quiet town near Berlin, Carter's team moved again. They followed Draz's digital trail to an old bank building. It had been empty for years. Reese hacked the door. Nova led the way. It was too quiet. They moved room by room. No sound, no movement. And then, a phone rang. Carter slowly turned. It was an old payphone on the wall. It rang again, echoing through the building. He picked it up. A voice on the other end said, "How far will you go to protect her?" Then came a sound that froze Carter's blood. Layla's voice. "Dad?" Carter's hand tightened. "Layla?" But the line went dead. Back at CIA HQ, Everything seemed normal. Layla was asleep in her room, or at least that's what the cameras showed. But when Agent Mira walked in to check on her, she found an empty bed. The pillow was sliced. A note lay beside it. It read, "Even ghosts can bleed." Hall sounded the alarm. Red lights flashed, doors locked. Agents moved. But it was too late. Layla was gone. Carter's face turned to stone. They took her. Reese looked panicked. How? That place is like a fortress. Carter didn't speak. He simply turned, walked out of the building, and said 2 words. Prepare extraction. Layla woke up in a dark room. Her hands were tied. Her eyes stung from something. Smoke, maybe. She coughed and looked around. Shadows moved in the corners. A voice spoke from the darkness. "You're strong, just like him." She didn't speak. "You don't know me yet," the voice said, "but I know everything about you." Victor Draws stepped out of the shadows. Tall, cold eyes, a monster wearing a calm smile. "You're just a girl," he said. But to him, "You're everything." That's power. Layla stared at him, heart pounding. "You won't break me," she said. Draws smiled wider. "No, but he will." Carter's chopper roared over the ocean. His face was set like stone. The whole team was quiet. Nova checked her gear. "You think he's hurting her?" Carter looked ahead. "Not yet. He wants me to come." Ash loaded his rifle. "Then let's go knock." They arrived at a remote island. No name, no maps. A hidden fortress built into the rocks. Carter's voice came through their comms. "No noise, no mistakes. We get in, we get her, we disappear." But as they entered the base, it was clear Draws had planned this moment for years. Explosives, traps, hidden guns. One by one, Carter's team had to split up to make it through. Nova cleared the north wing. Ash covered the perimeter. Reese hacked into security from a control room. And Carter, he walked straight into the center of the maze. There, in a room of mirrors, he found Draws. Alone. "Looking for your little girl?" Draws asked. Carter didn't speak. "She's safe. For now." Carter raised his gun. "Where is she?" Draws stepped forward. "You can shoot me, but she's somewhere even you can't find. She's the key now. Not just to you, but to everything. Your blood built this agency." Carter's finger twitched on the trigger. "You came here to protect her," Draws said. "But you walked into my trap. This time, I win." At that same moment, Layla found something sharp on the floor, a piece of broken glass. With quiet determination, she started cutting the rope around her hands. One breath at a time. One slice at a time. Finally, snap, she was free. And just as 2 guards entered the room, she picked up the metal chair and slammed it into one of them. Then she ran. Down the halls. Heart racing. The halls of CIA headquarters felt colder now. Layla sat in the training room, eyes on a screen, learning self-defense. Hall had assigned her a quiet agent to guide her. Agent Mira, tall and calm, with eyes like steel. "Again," Mira said. Layla threw a punch. "Too soft." Again. She tried again, harder. "You're still thinking like a student," Mira said. "I am a student," Layla muttered. Mira stepped forward. "Not anymore." Layla looked down. She hated that. She hated all of it. She hated being here, locked away in a place full of secrets. She missed school, friends, a normal life. But more than that, she missed her dad. Thousands of miles away, Carter stared at a map glowing red. Reese pointed to 3 blinking dots. "These are Victor Draws' recent locations. He's moving fast, changing signals every few hours." "Trying to hide," Ash said. "No," Carter said. "He wants to be found." Nova raised an eyebrow. "Why would he want that?" Carter looked at her. "Because he's setting a trap." Reese turned. "Then why are we going?" Because I set one first. That night, in a quiet town near Berlin, Carter's team moved again. They followed Draz's digital trail to an old bank building. It had been empty for years. Reese hacked the door. Nova led the way. It was too quiet. They moved room by room. No sound, no movement. And then, a phone rang. Carter slowly turned. It was an old payphone on the wall. It rang again, echoing through the building. He picked it up. A voice on the other end said, "How far will you go to protect her?" Then came a sound that froze Carter's blood. Layla's voice. "Dad?" Carter's hand tightened. "Layla." But the line went dead. Back at CIA HQ, everything seemed normal. Layla was asleep in her room. Or at least, that's what the cameras showed. But when Agent Mira walked in to check on her, she found an empty bed. The pillow was sliced. A note lay beside it. It read, "Even ghosts can bleed." Hall sounded the alarm. Red lights flashed, doors locked. Agents moved. But it was too late. Layla was gone. Carter's face turned to stone. They took her. Reese looked panicked. "How? That place is like a fortress." Carter didn't speak. He simply turned, walked out of the building, and said 2 words. "Prepare extraction." Layla woke up in a dark room. Her hands were tied. Her eyes stung from something. Smoke, maybe. She coughed and looked around. Shadows moved in the corners. A voice spoke from the darkness. "You're strong, just like him." She didn't speak. "You don't know me yet," the voice said. "But I know everything about you." Victor Draz stepped out of the shadows. Tall, cold eyes, a monster wearing a calm smile. "You're just a girl," he said. "But to him, you're everything. That's power." Layla stared at him, heart pounding. "You won't break me," she said. Draz smiled wider. "No, but he will." Carter's chopper roared over the ocean. His face was set like stone. The whole team was quiet. Nova checked her gear. "You think he's hurting her?" Carter looked ahead. "Not yet. He wants me to come." Ash loaded his rifle. "Then let's go knock." They arrived at a remote island. No name, no maps. A hidden fortress built into the rocks. Carter's voice came through their comms. "No noise. No mistakes. We get in, we get her, we disappear." But as they entered the base, it was clear Draz had planned this moment for years. Explosives, traps, hidden guns. One by one, Carter's team had to split up to make it through. Nova cleared the north wing. Ash covered the perimeter. Reese hacked into security from a control room. And Carter, he walked straight into the center of the maze. There, in a room of mirrors, he found Draz. Alone. "Looking for your little girl?" Draz asked. Carter didn't speak. "She's safe. For now." Carter raised his gun. "Where is she?" Draz stepped forward. "You can shoot me, but she's somewhere even you can't find. She's the key now. Not just to you, but to everything. Your blood built this agency." Carter's finger twitched on the trigger. "You came here to protect her," Draz said. "But you walked into my trap. This time, I win." At that same moment, Layla found something sharp on the floor, a piece of broken glass. With quiet determination, she started cutting the rope around her hands. One breath at a time, one slice at a time. Finally, snap. She was free. And just as 2 guards entered the room, she picked up the metal chair and slammed it into one of them. Then she ran, down the halls, heart racing. The ocean was calm again. The explosion was behind them, but Carter's heart was still heavy. He sat in the back of the helicopter, holding Layla's hand. She leaned against him, tired but safe. Nova sat near them, her shoulder bleeding. Ash and Reese were silent. Nobody spoke for a long time. Finally, Layla whispered, "Why did he take me?" Carter didn't answer at first. Then, slowly, he said, Because of something I did, long ago. She looked up. What do you mean? He looked away. And for the first time, the strongest man she knew looked afraid. Hours later, they landed at a hidden location, an old CIA safe house deep in the forest. There were no cameras, no phones, just walls, weapons, and secrets. Reese sealed the doors. Ash checked for trackers. Nova stitched her wound. Layla sat at the table, waiting for answers. Carter stood by the window, staring into the night. Then, finally, he began to speak. "Years ago, I was on a mission in Moscow," he said. "I wasn't just an agent. I was something worse." Layla's eyes widened. "Worse. I was part of a black unit. We did the missions no one talked about. No rules. No mercy." Nova looked over. "We all were." Reese nodded quietly. "There was a file," Carter continued. "A secret one, called Project Echo. It contained data on every spy, double agent, and scientist connected to weapons across the world." Ash added, "It could start wars or end them." Carter nodded. "And I had it." Layla leaned forward. "So, what happened?" "I hid it," Carter said. "I knew it was too dangerous to exist. Even our own government wanted it." Nova spoke softly. "And Victor Draws wanted it more than anyone." Reese said, "That's what he's really after. Not revenge. Not you. The file." Carter turned to Layla. "And I hid it. Inside something no one could reach." She blinked. "Inside what?" He stepped closer. "Inside you." The room went silent. "What do you mean?" Layla whispered. Carter sat beside her. "When you were born, I injected a microcode under your skin. A harmless program. It's asleep. But with the right signal, it activates and unlocks everything inside Project Echo." Layla looked at her hands. "So I'm a key." He nodded. "The only one." Her voice shook. "And you never told me. I wanted to protect you. I never thought anyone would find out." Ash said, "But Draws found out. That's why he took her." Nova asked, "So what now?" Carter looked around the room. His voice was calm, but serious. "We destroy the data. Forever." Reese frowned. "But that file, it's the only copy. Once it's gone." Carter interrupted. "We'll be free. And so will she." The next morning, Reese set up a secure room with powerful tech. Carter sat with Layla, explaining everything as gently as he could. "You're going to feel a small pulse. It won't hurt. But once it starts, the system will read the code and begin deletion." Layla nodded. Her hands trembled. "I'm ready." The machine beeped. A small light blinked beneath her skin. Carter watched the screen. Lines of data appeared. Code, maps, names, files. Layla gasped. Her heartbeat quickened. Then, the power died. The screens went black. "What happened?" Nova shouted. Reese checked the wires. "This isn't a glitch." Then the wall exploded. Smoke and fire. Grenades. A team of masked mercenaries stormed in. They weren't random thugs. They were trained. Fast. Precise. Ash and Nova fought back, covering Carter and Layla. Carter grabbed his daughter and pulled her down. "They found us." Reese shouted, "I can't stop the download. They're stealing it." One of the mercenaries carried a portable drive. It was glowing red. Carter's eyes locked on it. "They're copying the code from her body." Layla screamed as the device buzzed near her. He had to stop it. Now. He dove forward, slamming into the soldier holding the drive. They fought hand to hand. The device dropped, sliding across the floor. Layla grabbed it and threw it into the fire. Boom. The code inside her stopped flashing. And just like that, the data was gone. Forever. The mercenaries retreated. They failed. Again. Nova chased one down and pulled off his mask. It wasn't just a soldier. It was a former CIA agent. Ash cursed. They're using our own people now. Carter stood beside Layla, who was still shaking. It's over, she whispered. Carter looked out the broken window. No, he said. Now it begins. Back in the shadows of a bunker far away, Victor Draws sat in silence. He watched a screen. No signal, no file. Just fire. A soldier beside him spoke. The copy failed. Draws stared ahead. Then we changed plans. What now? He smiled darkly. Now we go after the one thing he can't destroy. The screen lit up with an image of Layla. Her heart. The sun was rising. Layla stood outside the ruined safe house, watching the sky change from black to gold. Her face was tired, her eyes quiet. Everything had changed. She was no longer just a student. She was a target, a secret, a threat to dangerous men. And yet, as the wind brushed her face, she still felt like a girl trying to figure out who she was. Behind her, Carter stepped out. He stood beside her, silent. After a while, she asked, "Do you think he'll come again?" Carter didn't lie. Yes. She looked at him. Then what do we do? He placed his hand on her shoulder. We finish it. Back inside, the team was already planning. Reese spread blueprints on the table. This is where he'll go next. Victor's men are moving toward Black Ridge, an old military site. Secret base. Underground. Cold. Silent. Ash loaded bullets into a rifle. If he's hiding there, he's planning something big. Nova leaned over the map. I say we end this. We go in and shut it down. Layla walked in, voice calm. I'm coming. Carter turned sharply. No. She looked at him. I have to. You don't. Yes, I do. I'm not the same girl who stood on that sidewalk. He saw the fire in her eyes. He saw strength, and pain, and courage. He nodded slowly. Then we do it together. That night, they moved. 4 agents, 1 girl, 1 mission. Ended. Black Ridge was silent. Fog covered the trees. The ground felt wrong, like it was hiding something evil. Reese hacked the entry gate. Nova took out 2 guards with tranquilizer darts. Ash placed charges on the back entrance, just in case. Carter and Layla moved in quietly. They walked through dark tunnels, concrete walls, blinking red lights, echoes of footsteps far away. Layla whispered, I'm scared. Carter squeezed her hand. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. They reached a large steel door. Behind it, Draws. Reese spoke through the comms. He's in there. Alone. We've blocked all exits. He's not getting out. Nova added, final move. Just like chess. Carter pushed the door open. Victor Draws stood inside, calm, as if he had been waiting for them. Layla stepped in, beside her father. You came, Draws said softly. Carter aimed his gun. It ends here. But Draws didn't move. He smiled. No, it ends the moment she chooses. Carter frowned. What? Draws turned to Layla. You don't see it yet, but you're just like me. I'm nothing like you, she said. He stepped forward, hands raised. You're smart, brave, you care deeply. That's power. But power always breaks hearts. Layla looked at him, confused and angry. Why me? She asked. Why go through all of this? Draws's smile faded. Because I lost my daughter. Years ago. She was smart too. Strong. And they used her, just like they're using you. Carter shouted. Enough. This isn't about her. Draws looked at him, eyes cold. You used her as a key. You made her a weapon. Carter raised his gun again. But Layla stepped between them. No, she said. No more violence. No more lies. The room went silent. Layla walked toward Draws. I'm sorry you lost your daughter, she said quietly. But you don't get to turn your pain into poison. He stared at her, and for the first time, he looked unsure. "You still have a choice," she said. But Draws shook his head. "It's too late for me." Suddenly, he pressed a button on his wrist. The walls flashed red. Nova's voice screamed through the comms. He triggered a countdown. "Bombs everywhere. Ash. We have 90 seconds. Get out." Carter rushed forward. But Draws pulled a gun, aiming at Layla. In one breath, Carter dove between them. Bang. The shot hit Carter in the shoulder. He fell. Layla screamed. And then, bang. Nova appeared and fired. Draws collapsed. Carter lay bleeding on the ground. "Dad." Layla cried, holding him. "I'm okay," he whispered. "Just a scratch." But Reese yelled, "We have 30 seconds. Move." They carried Carter out, ran through the tunnels. Smoke, fire, screams in the distance. Layla looked back one last time.